Aaron Donald recently broke the silence regarding his helmet swinging during a second practice session between the Los Angeles Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals. You might have seen the video of the brawl breaking out circulating on the internet. Oh well, apparently it was just practice. At least that's what the defensive tackles for the Rams had to say for themselves. In today's video, we'll be telling you all about this apparent fight and what actually went down. Let's find out. First up, let's see what Aaron Donald has to say for himself. Well, it seems like he's got nothing much to contribute to this matter. The Rams star recently spoke to the media for the first time since falling out between his team, the Los Angeles Rams, and the Cincinnati Bengals. The only thing he had to say about it was that he's happy nobody got hurt in the practice and whatever. Yikes, that really doesn't sound like a good explanation. Moving on, Donald's number one focus is the Buffaloes. From the looks of it, the defensive tackle has put the fight long past him. In his short conversation, he also mentioned that he was already focusing on the next fight with the Buffalo Bills, which was supposed to take place the next Thursday, following the press conference. With his eyes set on winning week 1, it's no surprise that the player doesn't want to dwell much on what happened in the past. But it's important to know what really happened during the practice and whatever. Up next, let's see what went down in the practice session. On the 25th of August, the second day of joint practice sessions between the Rams and the Bengals saw an untimely collision when a fight broke out between the two teams. The brawl started while a drill between the Rams' first-team defense and the Bengals' first-team offense was underway. Some clips of the so-called practice session have been making the rounds on the internet, and it clearly shows Aaron Donald swinging his helmet several times. And it wasn't just him. Many players ended up removing their helmets during this scrum. Now, that's something you don't often witness during a practice session. Maybe they were trying out some new techniques? Funnily enough, Donald is yet to have a news conference regarding this incident, and considering that more than 10 days have passed, the chances of that happening are pretty much zero. But he did make an appearance on the AP Pro Football podcast, where he reinstated that it was just a practice. Apart from this, the footballer really seemed adamant about not talking about the incident. Now, you might be wondering how we reached this conclusion. Well, he concluded his previous statement with, "I don't really want to go back to nothing negative that happened and talk about something that happened in a practice." So he really has put the scuffle behind him. Moving on, let's see what the coach and others had to say about it. The coach for the Los Angeles Rams, Sean McVay, also thinks that nothing really happened. After the practice session ended, McVay said that he didn't really want to make a big deal out of it. Apart from this, he also said that it was basically the two teams defending each other. Okay, that sounds like a fair answer, but we're still unsure as to what started the fight, and more importantly, why did the players have to use their helmets? Recently, the coach came ahead and stated that the team had handled any problem regarding the fight as an internal matter. Raheem Morris, the Rams defensive coordinator, ensured that the incident had been discussed as a very serious matter. Well, thank God for that, because Donald's "it was a practice or whatever" statement really had us shocked for a bit, and seems like he himself got a chance to rethink his statements since soon afterwards he acknowledged that it was indeed a dangerous situation. Up next, will there be any consequences? Well, you know how Donald mentioned that everybody was protecting each other? Well, the clip shows that it wasn't totally like that. You'll probably agree if we say that smashing your helmet against someone doesn't really scream protection. In fact, it's the literal opposite. And, well, the defensive tackle should be thanking his lucky stars that he didn't seriously injure someone. Do we think there's going to be any consequences for this incident? Well, the way everyone is hushing everything up makes us feel as though the NFL isn't really going to take any action regarding this, but maybe the incident should serve as a lesson for all the players involved. And apart from this, Aaron Donald should really think his actions through next time, because he's sort of a role model to many. And how can we forget the fact that he's a father? During last week's media tour, he was asked that his kid's reaction was to their father fighting. To this, he responded by stating that his kids hadn't seen the video. Oh, well, that doesn't let him off the hook at all. So is the NFL going to hold him accountable? Probably not. But should they? Definitely yes. It's important to know that he could have easily injured someone, because football helmets really aren't anything you should be throwing around for fun. Besides, we've all seen Donald get angry on the field from time to time, so maybe it's better if this thing gets nipped in the bud before a serious tragedy takes place. Raheem Morris, his teammate, understood the severity of the situation and realized that a line had definitely been crossed. He later said that you don't want to swing a helmet ever, and that you don't want to have that on the resume. Well, maybe it's time that Donald got a hold of his rage before things get out of control. Lastly, is there any precedent for such an incident? Well, as you know, it's common for players to get their helmets ripped off their heads during the game. That's, of course, frowned upon, but it's not unheard of. Swinging your helmet at someone with intentions to hit them, well, that's totally criminal. One similar incident happened in 2009 2019 during a regular season game where the defensive end, Myles Garrett, of the Cleveland Browns struck Mason Rudolph, the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, with his helmet. A penalty was obviously discharged, and the former was suspended for a total of 6 games. The only difference between these two incidents is that Donald's helmet fiasco took place during practice. That's probably one of the main reasons why there won't be any disciplinary actions by the league. That's all we have for Aaron Donald and his new helmet swinging during the practices hobby. Now let's catch you up with what else has been going on in the sport. Here's some other news for you. First up, Darren Waller just got 3 more years added to his contract. It seems like the Las Vegas Raiders just weren't ready to say goodbye to their tight end, Darren Waller. That's right, they just signed him on with a 3-year contract extension along with a $51 million in new income. Wow, that's a nice offer. The player's agent, Drew Rosenhaus, is also pretty proud of this contract and told the media that it was one of the most challenging negotiations he's ever encountered. Well, it kind of makes sense since Waller is a 30-year-old player with 2 years left on his contract. It's pretty rare for players like him to get a brand new deal, especially one as good as this one. He should definitely be getting a raise. So it seems like the Raiders will be sticking with Warren for 5 years. The team's coach, Josh McDaniels, believes that this was a huge gain for the Raiders. In a recently released statement, he said that Waller is an exemplary teammate and that they were excited to see him continue as a leader on this team. Now, that's very wholesome. Waller was previously sidelined by the team due to his injuries and a positive coronavirus test, but seems like both parties will be beginning the next season with new energy. Moving on, Jordan Poyer signs a reworked contract. Seems like Poyer would also be sticking with his previous team, the Buffalo Bills. And although Poyer had initially hoped for something more, he's been given increased bonus incentives, which we believe amount to a pretty good deal. Poyer can now make up to $2 million in bonuses, which is a considerable increase from the previous $500,000. But it's sad to note that this is the final year of his contract. The player has been lobbying for an extension since July, but his efforts have been in vain. Lastly, Lamar Jackson won't be continuing with the Baltimore Ravens. Seems like Jackson hasn't been able to reach an agreement with the Ravens. The quarterback just turned down the team's final offer and is now representing himself this season. But here's the thing, the Ravens don't seem too worried about that. In fact, they believe that they'll soon be able to sort things out with them. But we're not sure if that's going to happen before the start of the next season or not. The team's head coach, John Harbaugh, said that he's confident that Lamar will be playing as a quarterback with the team for a long time. Well, let's see how this works out. That's a wrap for this video, folks. Hope you enjoyed today's video. What do you think of Aaron Donald's behavior? Do you think he should be held accountable? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more awesome videos like this. See you in the next one with the latest updates.